like since we are following the NCERT pattern, so in the batch we'd be revising everything. So I hope you'll be okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So like the major portion of the chapter hasn't been discussed in your school. So it is associated with the male and the female reproductive system. Okay. Particularly our discussion has been more oriented towards the female reproductive organ. That's where the fertilization basically occurs and the development of the child occurs in the uterus basically. So several topics like menstruation, menarche, menopause. Okay. These things we have discussed in detail. Okay, no. So let's start the chapter. We have waited enough, I don't think. Has anyone else joined yet or not?
No.
Okay, Aisha is here. 1 minute. Yes, Aisha. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Aisha, is everything good? Are you like, is your health is okay? Everything good? You haven't been in the class for a while. Are you traveling or something like that?
Sir, I was traveling.
You were traveling. Okay. When was the last class you were present? Just I need to know like what are the topics you might have missed. Like almost 5 or 6 classes ago you were present, I think, Aisha.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So in that duration now, see, we have completed the chapter light. The light chapter has been finished. Okay. So tell me how you're going to learn that chapter then. You have attended any lessons from that chapter, Aisha? From the chapter light?
Yes, sir.
From the chapter light, have you attended any lectures? Were you present in any of the classes when that chapter was being taught?
Yes.
Okay. See, what you can do, you can refer to the recording from that lesson. I will ask the counselor to forward it to you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Right now we are revising the chapter reproduction in animals. See, the syllabus in the batch has been finished. Right now we are starting the revision. Okay. So whichever chapters you guys would have missed, we are going to take up those chapters first. Getting it, Aisha and Ramesh? Okay.
Yes.
For example, like Ramesh, I recall, you have missed the chapter chemical effects of electric current, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the students have missed this chapter, reproduction in animals also. Getting it. Let me just take a list of that as just 1 minute. Let me see, like Aisha, if which chapters you have missed. 1 minute. Aisha, I don't think like you have missed any chapter other than that chapter light. Okay, no? And
Okay.
for you, Ramesh, if I were to look it over here 1 minute. You have missed this chapter, chemical effect of electric current, right?
Yeah.
And reproduction in animals. Only these 2 chapters, right?
Coal,
And
petroleum,
that,
and fuel.
yeah, that one also, no? Conservation of plants and animals also.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now we
and
don't have that chapter anymore, so it's fine.
it's not there anymore.
Yeah, we don't have it for the PT to our annual exams.
Okay, so then that's good. 1 minute. I need to note it down. Meanwhile, Aisha, read the given paragraph.
Reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce new individuals of the same species. Reproduction is necessary for the survival and increase in the population of a species. If organisms do not reproduce, their population decreases and a species will become extinct.
Good. So what we see that reproduction is basically the production of new organism from the existing organism of the same species. That is what is reproduction. And it is essential for the survival of species on this earth, right? And by reproduction, human beings or any kind of organism ensures that their species will continue to exist on the earth for all the time to come. Okay, na? So without reproduction, we will see that if reproduction were to stop in a given population of an organism, for example, all the sheeps were stop somehow, for example, suppose in a hypothetical situation, the sheeps are no longer reproducing, they are not mating. So their population will gradually go on to decrease, and eventually one day no more sheeps will be left. Getting it now? So
Yeah.
that's the role of reproduction. It is not required, it is not necessary for an individual organisms to survive, to stay alive. Okay, like an individual organism, what are the necessary life processes that an individual requires in order to stay alive? It's basically nutrition, huh? Like you have digestion, ingestion of the food, digestion, absorption, assimilation of the food, excretion of the food, etc. These are the necessary life processes, right, Aisha? Right, Ramesh? But reproduction is not necessary for an organism to stay alive. But for the continuity of that species, for the continuity of that species on Earth, reproduction is required. Because why this? New organisms are born. That is one important thing. Okay. But is that all about reproduction? So no. Reproduction also plays an important role in evolution. Okay, no? Also plays an important role in evolution. Evolution in what sense? Huh? So it basically allows for natural selection to occur. Okay, now natural selection to occur. For example, suppose a particular group of organisms have got some favorable characteristics in them. Okay, like when you'll be going to higher grades, you'll be learning about this one in detail, particularly. Let's just take one small example. Suppose that suppose there's a forest. Okay, you all know about beetles, no? Beetles, the tiny insects, right? Suppose
Yeah.
thousands of years ago, suppose there were two groups of beetles. One of them were red, one of them were red, and some, like not one, like some of them were red, some of them were green in color. Okay, so suppose if there's a crow flying in the sky, suppose there's a crow, so the crow will be able to identify which one, the red or the green one,
Red one.
right? Red one easily will be spotted, and hence it will be eaten by the crow or some insect or some other fly, for example. So what happened gradually? A natural selection happened here. Okay, now the green ones, the green beetles are well suited right now. So the out of the green and the red beetles, the green beetles will survive. Okay, they will survive. Getting it? What has basically happened? The green beetles have kind of acquired the chlorophyll pigment from the green leaves here. Getting it? Like not necessarily in that manner, but uh, basically it is like they have acquired some characteristics in them. Some characteristics have developed in their body. That's why they are green, and they will not be hunted by the crow. So this is basically a natural selection, right? So the over time, the green population beetle will increase due to natural selection, because of which the crows that reads the crows will not be eating the green beetle, but they will be eating the red beetle. So that is the case. So this is a natural selection. So when reproduction will occur between the green beetles, so they will be passing on this characteristics, their body color, to the beetles that will be born. Getting it? So here now the beetles have evolved. Evolution has taken place between them, right? So a favorable characteristics from one parent is being passed on to the other parent also. So that is how reproduction helps in evolution. This is one such example. Getting it or not? Okay.
Yeah.
Answer these questions. answer in the chat box so that both of you participates and answers all the question. Answer on this ID. Hania also has missed several classes, no? She is also inconsistent. Also, Aisha, try to remain consistent in the class now. Okay, now since exams are near, so don't miss even one class.
Okay, sir.
So first one, both of you correct. Second one, Ramesh, you have answered. Good. Third one, good. Correct. Miss Aisha, what's the answer for second one? For the first one, it is correct. Meanwhile, Ramesh defined reproduction. Give the definition for reproduction also.
In the chat box, or
No, right now. I mean, like in the class only.
reproduction is the process of making an offspring with the same species to maintain the continuity of the species.
Organisms
Yeah.
on Earth. Okay, to maintain the continuity of the organism of that particular species on Earth. Okay. So basically, this is the production of new organism from the existing organism of the same species, and it ensures the continuity of organism of that species on Earth. Good, and ensures that that organism does not goes extinct. Yes, Aisha, for the third one, yeah, it is correct. Answer the second one, it is, yeah, it is. For second one, you have answered A, and for the third one, no, for the third one, it is not correct. Lifespan is a different thing, no? Reproduction is essential because it helps to maintain the lifespan of a single organism, no? To
Yes.
maintain the lifespan, like for how much duration of period that person is going to be alive, 60, 70, 80 years. So that is determined by the life important life processes like ingestion, digestion, how what kind of food that person is eating, how is its digestion, how his body functions, etc. Some other function. So this one is going to be, for third one, it is prevent extinction of a species. Okay. You also define reproduction quickly. Yes. The production of
It's a process by which living organism produce offsprings.
of the same kind, right? Good. Of the same kind, and it ensures the survival of the species on Earth. Okay, no? That is the case. So it's a biological process which we have discussed so far. Further, we see that reproduction in different organisms occurs in different manners. Plus, the offspring that are born are also different for different species of organisms. Some of the offsprings, the young ones, are born from the eggs, and some of the organisms would be giving live birth to the offsprings, right? But when we turn towards the microscopic world, so there we see that, like for example, this is a planaria. This is the aquatic organism called as planaria. So how does it does reproduction? It simply splits up into different parts. Getting it, no? Like this has split into three parts. The tail also grows on to become a new planaria. The middle part also becomes a new planaria, and the head also becomes a new planaria. So that is simply fragmentation. While in some organisms, like anyone who can name this organism, what do we call this?
Hydra.
Well done. So it does reproduction via budding. Simply, there's a small outgrowth from one part of the body that is called as a bud. Later on, it goes on to detach from the parent organism and grows as a new organism. So the manner in which offsprings are born is different for different organisms. Getting it? Yeah. Answer the following questions in the class only, both of you.
Sir, can I say the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Which of the following is not a type of reproduction? Respiration.
Okay, Aisha. Same or different answer?
Same.
Good. Next. Yes. Okay. Start by canceling out the options. Is it responsible for storing food in the body?
No.
Sir, can I
Okay.
tell the answer?
Yeah.
Evolution of species over time.
Exactly. No. So option B is cancelled, like option C is also cancelled, and option D is also cancelled. So the appropriate answer is A, and we had learned about this also, like how it is responsible for evolution over time. Getting it? So that is the case. Basically, what happens? Suppose, for example, suppose there are two types of camels or two types of organisms are there. Okay. Suppose two type of organisms are there, like organism A, and that's organism B. Getting it? Now, suppose a group of organism A, like there are so many organisms in this one, okay, and they have got some characteristics in their body. Suppose we take the example of camels, okay, no, camels, suppose. So camels have got wide legs. I'm just taking a hypothetical example. It is not necessary that this is the absolute case, okay, no? Try to understand it. So I'm saying that a particular group of camel have got two humps. Humps, you guys understand now? Yeah. What is stored in this hump, by the way?
Water.
No, that's a myth. Water is not stored. I also, as a kid, used to think that water is stored in this. Although it is true that camels can drink a lot of water at once, but that is not the case that in the hump they store water. They actually store the fat in it. Getting it, guys? Actually, they store fat in it. So this one has got two hump. This one has one hump. You might have seen that some camels have got one hump. Some have got two humps. Getting it? So hum basically, like it's kind of an adaptation in them, basically, as you'd be aware. It stores fat, which will be providing them with energy. So they can convert the fat to energy, and they can convert it to water also. Whenever food will not be available to this, so with the help of this, they'll be able to survive. Okay. So suppose some of them had two humps, some of them had one big hump. What happened? That it was observed that the camel with the one ham had some advantages. Getting it? No? Had some advantages in them. Earlier, basically, what happened? Two humps were present. So suppose that these two humps merged together. Merging, you understand now. These two humps merged together to become one big hump like this. So it was an adaptation in them. It was a special feature which they adapted. The humps merged together, and it became a single hump like this. So the offsprings that will born from this group of humps now. Suppose this is a male camel and this is the female camel. Suppose there's a female camel over here also. So the offsprings that will be born out of these male and female camels. So the offspring will also have one single hump, right or no? Getting it?
Yeah.
So somehow suppose that this having one single hump was somehow favorable to them. It was a good characteristics of their body. So it got on to pass on from them to the future generation. So evolution has happened here or not?
Yeah.
That's what we call as evolution. No? So reproduction is helping in evolution also. If these two organisms were not to reproduce, reproduction were not to occur, so the characteristics would not have been passed on. Evolution would not have occurred. So reproduction is essential for responsible for evolution of a species over time also. So hope that should be clear. Okay. Further, there are different modes of reproduction. One is the sexual mode, another one is the asexual mode of reproduction, right? So in the sexual mode or asexual mode of reproduction, the production of a new organism occurs from a two parent or from three parent or from one parent. What do you guys say? From only
One parent.
one parent. Okay. And there is no involvement of the sex cells or the gametes. There is no involvement of the sex cells or the gametes in the case of asexual reproduction. Keep this in mind. But in the case of sexual reproduction, the production of any new organism will occur from two parents, and there will be involvement of the sex cells or the gametes will be involved in this. Getting it now? So no involvement of gametes. Aisha, you name the male gamete. Yes, Aisha?
Sperm.
Good. That is the sperm. And the female is
Egg.
egg or the ovum. Okay, no? Egg is the common word. More appropriate word that we'll be using is the ovum here. We can call that egg as well. So there is involvement of gametes in the sexual reproduction. It is two parents are required, so it is called as biparental reproduction. And since only one parent is required, so we call this as uniparental. Okay. Further, you will notice down that in the case of asexual reproduction, there is no genetic variation. Like the new organism produced will be having the same characteristics as the old organism. Like for example, this bird, this a new hydra. Okay, now genetically will it be different from its parent? Like
No.
for example, me, you, like any human is different from their parents genetically. Why? Because their the color of the iris could be different. Their hair could be color of the hair could be a little bit different. The hair could be straight, it could be a curly hair. Getting at the height could be different. The skin texture, skin color, I mean to say, could be different. So those are the genetic characteristics, and it is different in the case of sexual reproduction. But since like this one here, budding is a asexual reproduction, the new organism has basically grown out from the same parent, so it has not inherited characteristics from other parent, like not from the two parents, only from one parent. So there is no genetic variation. It's basically identical to its parent. So that is the case. Okay. So sexual reproduction, we'll be revising about it in detail, but right now we are only learning about the differences between the two. Later on, we'll be learning about sexual reproduction in humans in detail, the different stages of development of the child. Okay, and further we'll be learning about the male and female reproductive system. Okay. Aisha, your vacation has started, winter vacation.
Yes.
Okay, you guys have got any assignment work from the school?
No.
No. How is it that you haven't? Ramesh, what about you?
Not really.
Okay. So Aisha, how are you utilizing your vacation time?
I'm traveling
You're traveling. You're traveling to India or to some other country, like?
some other country.
Okay, okay. So, like, if you get some spare time, so in that spare time, go through the chapter Light, which has recently been completed. Okay.
Okay.
Also, you have any update regarding your upcoming exams, like PT3 exam or any other exams?
Yes.
You haven't updated me. Tell me, have you got the date and the chapter names?
Yes.
Okay, tell me quickly. Just type it in the chat box. Type it in the chat box. The date and the portion as well.
Okay.
Okay. Hmm. So what basically happens? Like humans have Like the humans, for example, in context of humans, we have the male sex cell called as sperm. Male sex cell, whether we call this as the sex cell or the gametes. Okay, so that is the sperm produced in the male reproductive organ. Getting it. In the female, the gamete cell is ovum, generally called as egg. Ovum or ova, or also called as egg, basically. Okay, and that is produced in the female reproductive organ, particularly produced by the ovary. Sperm is particularly produced by the testicles in the males. Okay. Now what happens? Okay, when these two cells are combined, when these two cells would be combined in the process of fertilization, what happens? The egg is combining with the sperm. So fertilization is basically occurring. And as a result of fertilization, a new cell is formed called as zygote. A new cell is formed called as zygote. And the zygote that is formed, it gets implanted into the wall of the uterus. It gets implanted. Implanted basically means that it embeds itself into the wall of the uterus. Like the one that is over here, that's the uterus. And that's the wall of the uterus in which the zygote will embed itself. Getting it, guys? And from that wall, it will receive the nutrition from the mother. Whatever food the mother would be eating, some share of the food will go to the child also. Oxygen goes to the child, and everything happens. Waste material is also removed from the body of the child. So that's just the case of the reproduction. Okay, no? In the sexual reproduction, particularly in the case of the humans, particularly. Now, what is interesting about the sexual reproduction is that two parents are involved. So it is called as biparental reproduction. Getting it? The kid that is born, the newborn, the young born child is genetically different to their parents. Does it, do they, it will not be identical to their parents. Getting it? No? So that is some important thing about the sexual reproduction. Also in this, see that there is involvement of the sex cells. Are the non-sex cells directly involved here? No. Non-sex cells are the muscle cells, the bone cells, the cells of the heart or the kidney, etc., or the hair cells, etc. So the non-sex cells are also called as somatic cells. We call them as the somatic cells. Somatic cells are basically the non-sex cells are not involved, are not involved in this. Okay. So we had learned that this is a biparental type of reproduction in which two parents are required. Next, the gametes are involved. Okay. Further, there is genetic variation. The child that is born is genetically different to their parents because it has got the genetic material from both the parents. Like this child here has inherited the chromosomes from the female and from the male parent both. So they are genetically different from the parents. So hence genetic variation is observed here. Is that much clear to everyone so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Now consider the example of the amoeba. Do you guys recall what kind of asexual reproduction occurs in the amoeba? Does fragmentation occur? Does binary
No,
fission?
binary fission.
Binary fission. So in binary fission, what happens? They basically split up into two daughter cells now, right? How many parents are involved here, Aisha? Aisha, you haven't put this. Okay, you have put this. 15th of January, chapter 10. That is sound. Okay, sound chapter is going to be there. Okay, you were there when the sound chapter was going on.
Yes.
Okay, if I can recall, like you have missed one or two lectures from that chapter, Aisha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, see, uh, it should be kind of understood to you guys that before the PT3 exams will be held in your schools, I will be taking a mock test for you guys also in the batch. Getting it? So I will inform you when I will be taking. Ramesh, you also had any upcoming exams? I think you might have told me about it. Yeah,
January 13th.
13th of January. No,
Yeah.
did you told me the chapter name?
Yeah. I also sent it to the council.
Okay, you had this chapter. Can you just quickly remind me? Like I forgot about it. I had written it
Yeah.
somewhere. Just
Okay.
tell me quickly.
For PT2, I have light, sound,
Hmm?
then reaching the age of adolescence, reproduction in animals, pollution of air and water.
Okay, that's 4 chapters, right?
Yeah. No, five.
5 chapters.
Yeah.
So you have your paper on 13th of January.
No, my paper is on 23rd. Science is 23rd.
Oh, science is on 23rd. Okay. The
Yeah.
chapters are
Then
light. Next, it was age of
sound.
adolescence. Sound was there also.
Yeah.
And reaching age of adolescence.
Yeah.
And that's only three. Two
No,
more chapters.
reproduction in animals,
Reproduction in animals,
pollution of air and water.
pollution of air and water.
Yeah.
Out of all like pollution of air and water, since it's removed in the updated syllabus, so we haven't done that in the batch. If you need some help with that, you can let me know. Okay.
No, it's fine. It's not that hard.
Okay, okay. But anyways, see, I will be conducting a mock test for you. I will prepare a mock paper for you. Okay,
Yeah.
from these chapters. Tell me what's the weightage? What's you have any idea about the maximum marks
The
and the
maximum
time?
would be 40.
40 marks. How much of time is allotted in the school?
I think 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, but we can't have a 2.5 hour test here, no?
Yeah.
So I will reduce it to 20 marks. Okay. And that will be a 45-minute test. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's on 23rd of January. So it will be taken for you before that, like by 14th or 15th of January, like around that time. I will be conducting a mock test for you. Okay.
Okay.
And Aisha, you're having this on 15th of January, right?
Yes.
15th of January. So before that, like by 7 or 8 of January, I'll be taking a mock test for you from this chapter.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, continuing with this, in the asexual reproduction, first thing we discussed that it is uniparental type of reproduction. It's only involvement of one parent. Next thing is that are there any kind of gamete cells produced by these organisms, or their non-sex cells, their body cells are being involved here?
There is no gametes involved.
Exactly. Right now, so the gametes are not being involved here. Neither the gametes are produced in their body. So how will it be involved? Okay. Further, basically the non-sex cells, meaning the body cells are also called as somatic cells right now. So that is being involved here. So body cells or simply the somatic cells are being involved. Okay. Further, we are seeing that the offsprings produce are identical, right now, identical to one another and to their parent also. Basically, the parent has kind of basically grown into these identical daughters only. But if you were to make a comparison, so like how it was earlier in this form, so their genetic material is same, so hence they are identical to one another and to the parents also. Okay, now the whole time duration is very short duration of time is taken for this asexual reproduction. Okay, now I would have told you guys in the class also, like for example, amoeba would be doing a reproduction very fast. Okay, so basically it will be requiring a very period of like somewhere between 24 to 72 hours. So if it gets the right condition, okay, so amoeba can reproduce very quickly. So it can regenerate into new organisms within the time of 24 to 70 hours. That's just in between 2 to 3 days, amoeba will reproduce. But that's not the case in the sexual reproduction, no, right? How many weeks does the human baby take to grow fully?
Like 27 weeks.
No more than that. Like that's the period of 9 months.
36.
36, no?
36 weeks.
Exactly. So that's a relatively long period of time now. Getting it. But you see, we see that it's 36 weeks, but a full term pregnancy is usually around 40 weeks. Okay, 40 weeks usually. Okay, that is the case. So these are some of the differences between the sexual and asexual reproduction. One is uniparental, another one is biparental. In one, somatic cells are involved, and another one, germ cells are also basically the gametes are involved here. Germ cells are also basically the another term used for the sex cell or the gametes here. Okay, further, offsprings are genetically similar in one case, in another one it is dissimilar. Getting it, guys? So that is the difference between the two. Okay, hope you guys are getting it so far. Answer the following question. Yes, which is not true about asexual reproduction. Not true.
A.
B.
How is it B? Read this statement carefully. It is saying not true. It is true now that the offsprings are genetically identical to the parent. That is true. It
Yeah.
requires formation of the
It says,
gametes.
which of the following is true about asexual reproduction?
Is true. Oh, I thought it's the opposite. Okay. I didn't read it actually properly. See, so which of the following is true about sexual reproduction? Yeah. So offsprings are genetically identical to the parent. I thought the question is asking which of the following is not true. So correct. It involves two parents. That is false. Requires formation of gamete. That is false. Increases genetic variation in species. That is again false. Because characteristics from both the parents are not being passed on to the child. So how come there will be a genetic variation? And in fact, no, only one parent is involved. Aisha, you got it now? Like why the answer B is correct here?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now talking about sexual reproduction in humans particularly. So there are different stages of sexual reproduction in the case of the human. Okay. Now even before the fertilization to take place, like even before the fertilization of the egg by the sperm happens, it is important that the production is also occurring in the body. Getting it now? Like when a kid is born, when a new kid is born, okay, so the reproductive cells are not mature in the body. Getting it now? So the first stage of sexual reproduction in humans is the development of the gamete cells. Getting it? So stages of sexual reproduction. Okay. So this right over here is called as pre-fertilization event. Pre means before. So before the fertilization is going to occur. Okay, now? So that is called as the pre-fertilization event. Pre-fertilization event in which the production of the gametes takes place. So in this, production of mature gametes happen. Okay. Now it occurs through some type of cell division, which we'll be learning later on in the 9th and the 10th grade. But what we have learned as per the 8th grade, that when a child reaches the age of puberty, right now, so there were what significant thing happens during the age of puberty? Yes, Ramiz and Aisha? Like puberty is marked by what kind of change? Yes, you guys seem to have forgotten it. Hmm? There's this.
Development
Continue.
development of the sperm,
Development of the
sex organs.
development of the sex organs. Very good, right? So basically, when they attain reproductive maturity, when it is attained, when the reproductive organs would be fully developed and they will start the production of the male and female gametes, right? So that is basically puberty, as we have discussed, right? Okay, so when they have reached the age of puberty, so the production of the male and female gametes will start to happen. Okay, that is one thing. Next is the event of fertilization. Fertilization. So in the fertilization event, what happens, as we have learned, when the sperm would be traveling up to the fallopian tube. Just take a look at this diagram over here, or later on we'll be re-looking at this animation. Just take a look at 1 minute. What happened to this? Yeah. So when the sperm would be traveling up to the fallopian tube, like these are the millions of sperm cells. Is the video stucking? No, it is working. So these are the millions of sperm cells that are traveling to the oviduct or the fallopian tube. So there it will be, you will see that it will be mixing, it will be going inside a giant piece of cell. That's the one that is over. That is the ovum. So one of them will manage to enter inside the ovum, and hence it will be fertilizing it. And this event is simply called as fertilization. And you will notice down that the nucleus from the head of the sperm will go on to merge with the nucleus of this blue thing that you saw over here, that got merged with the nucleus of the ovum, and that further develop into zygote, and the number of cells have started to multiply it in it further. Getting it? What happens there?
Yeah.
So that's the fertilization event, in which sperm enters the ovum and the nucleus of the two merges. So after this, what happens? Now the production of zygote is going to happen. So during the fertilization event only, we see that formation of zygote is happening here. Now you guys tell me, does the zygote have the genetic characteristics from both the parent or from only one parent?
Both.
From both, right? Now where the zygote will go? In that animation, you would have seen that the ball of cells were not traveling somewhere. So it was basically going to be embedded into the wall of the uterus. Getting it, all of you? Okay. So it goes on to embed itself from here on. See. It embedded itself into the wall of the uterus, and see how now it is receiving nutrition from the mother and how it has grown further. So that is called as post-fertilization event. Okay, and that is called as post-fertilization event, which basically means the development of the child, the development of the zygote after the fertilization has occurred. That's what we call as post-fertilization. What does post mean? After. So that is post-fertilization event, in which development of zygote occurs. Although in medical science there are various different stages, and in depth those things are taught, but we only need to know about two terms here. Zygote develops into embryo. Further, embryo will develop into the fetus. These are the stages, in fact, which we have learned and which we'll be revising. So that was just a small introduction to the sexual reproduction in humans. Later on, we're going to revise that in detail. As of now, we are going to learn about the male and female reproductive system. Okay. For you, this topic has been skipped in the school, right, Ramesh?
Yeah.
As you told me. Okay. Okay. See, in the case of the male reproductive system, these are the male or male parts of the main parts of the male reproductive organ. So it consists of a pair of testes, okay, consists of a sperm duct, okay, and consists of the penis, that long cylindrical structure, muscular cylindrical structure. The testes are located outside the body, and they are enclosed inside this sac-like structure called as scrotum. That's where the testes are located outside the body, and it is outside the body as for the production of the sperm, 2 to 3 degrees Celsius less temperature is required for the production of the sperm. That's why the testicles are inside the scrotum, that is outside the body. Okay. Further, the main function of this male reproductive system is to produce the sperm. Basically, to produce the semen, it has lots of components in it. The main component inside that semen is the sperm. So we're going to learn about its structure and the role of different parts. Okay. Let's start with the first part over here. That is the penis, the cylindrically shaped organ that has a small opening on its top. And by this opening, the urine also passes by the same opening. Why the semen also comes out by the same opening. Getting it now? So it serves as a common passage for both urine and for the semen also. That's the one thing. Okay. Further, scrotum. It's a sac-like structure that is present right behind the penis. Okay, the testicles or testes are present in this, and this provides the right temperature so that production of sperm can occur. So higher temperature is required or lower temperature is required? Tell me.
Higher.
No, I told you guys, no, like lower temperature, no. Okay, 2 to 4 degrees Celsius lower temperature is required. Okay. Then the testes. So the males have a pair of testes, okay, or testicles, basically. Singular plural is being mentioned here, right? So the testes consist of coiled tube-like structures inside them. Like this one is a very simple diagram to this, but inside this there is coiled structures are present inside this, and the function of it is to produce the sperm. So sperm is produced over here. Getting it? Now the sperm produced via this testicle passes on to the vas deferens. Vas deferens. By the way, vas deferens is also known as sperm duct. Okay, no? Sperm duct. Okay, you guys tell me, what does the term duct mean here? Recall we had learned about endocrine and exocrine glands. We had learned like the term duct, we have discussed that there.
Like a tube-like structure which transports the excretion of one organ.
It's a tube-like structure, okay, now? So that is basically the duct. Getting it? So this tube-like structure will be passing on the sperm. From the testicle, it will go on further to this gland, to this seminal vesicle, basically. And the seminal vesicle will also secrete its own fluid called as seminal fluid will be secreted. Okay, it will have its own importance. We'll be learning about that. Further, the liquid, the sperm which has got mixed with the seminal fluid, further passes on to the prostate gland. Prostate gland will also secrete some fluid called as prostate fluid. So you have, there is a sperm, there is seminal fluid, and there is prostate gland. All of this together is being called as semen. Getting it, guys? Further, all of that will further pass down via this urethra and comes out from the opening. Getting it, everyone? Okay, no?
Yeah.
So we'll be learning about it in detail in the next class. Okay. And it is expected that you guys keep on revising the things also. And your regular attendance is required in the class since your exams are near. Okay, particularly I'm mentioning you, Aisha, okay?